Did you know that 80% of people fail to keep their New Year's resolutions? Don't be one of them. I'm going to share with you 6 proven tips to set you up for success not only this year, but for every year afterwards as well. So if you're ready to commit to keeping those New Year's resolutions, stick around. I'm going to show you how. Now, before we begin, I always like to start my videos with a quote that inspired me and I feel pertains to this video. And this is your quote. Begin with the end in mind. Now, I chose this quote because it reminded me of something that Tony Horton said. And if you're not familiar with him, he was a fitness guru, probably most known for his P90X exercise program. And it was an at-home fitness program, usually on those DVDs. It was just a while ago. Now, when it came to fitness, Tony always talked about keeping a journal. The point of the journal was to keep track of how many reps you did, how much weight you lifted, so that when it came to the next time you were doing that exercise, you would know how many you did prior to know what you needed to do next. And his quote was pretty simple. It was, how do you know what to do if you don't know what you did? Ah, look at that, we got 2 quotes in one video. But look, whatever your goals are, you need to be able to envision those, whether that's just in your mind or maybe get creative and build one of those vision boards out. And if you take this guy's approach, you will know what your end goal is. And if you incorporate Tony's approach with that as well, you're gonna be able to tell what you did the day prior to how you're gonna do every single day after. And when you keep track of those small accomplishments day by day, it tends to motivate you to be able to accomplish your big goal here. So with that, let's get into tip number 1. You need to define the why behind your resolution. You're much more likely to accomplish your resolution if there's a motive behind it, especially if it's coming from an emotional standpoint. For instance, a common resolution is to lose weight. Now, you need to define why you want to lose that weight. Is it just to look better? Is it to be healthier? And if it's to be healthier, why do you want to be healthier? And I know that sounds like a silly question, but for instance, for me, I want to be healthier all the time because I want to make sure that I'm around for my daughter as she's growing up. So should that be a resolution of mine, I've now identified why I want to keep this resolution, and I made it an emotional standpoint, which makes it so much easier to keep. Step number 2 is to specify the resolution. For instance, if you want to save money, you need to identify specifically how much money you want to save. And once you specify that resolution, you can then break it down to make it much more achievable for you. And what I mean by that is, let's say you want to save $2,400 this year. It may seem impractical when you're looking at $2,400 as a whole, but if you break it down and specify that you're going to save $200 every month, it becomes so much more achievable. And that's what we're going for. We want to achieve every resolution that we set out to do. Now, tip number 3 is setting SMART goals. And I don't mean SMART as intelligence, I mean SMART as the acronym. And if you've never heard of this acronym before, what it stands for is the S is specific, M, measurable, A is attainable or achievable, however you want to look at that, R is realistic, and T is meant for time bound. Now, we already talked about specific from the SMART acronym in tip number 2. So I'm not going to hammer that one too much, but just as another example, say for instance, your goal is to consume more fruits and veggies, right? And you're thinking to be healthier. Now, when you specify that down, maybe instead of just saying, I want to consume more fruits and vegetables in general, put yourself into a place where you're saying, I want to consume 1 serving of fruits and veggies every meal of every day. Do you see the difference between the two? Now, when it comes to measurables, sticking with the fruits and veggies example, is you're now breaking it down from instead of just fruits and veggies every day to fruits and veggies per meal per day. That becomes a measurable activity. Now, for the attainable, achievable part of the SMART acronym, it's exactly what it sounds like. You don't want to set yourself a goal that is too lofty that you actually can't achieve it. It's going to defeat the entire purpose of setting SMART goals. So if we continue to use the fruits and veggies example, maybe one day your produce is rotted. Maybe you don't have any. At that point, that goal just became unattainable, unachievable. And when things like that happens, it can become very difficult to actually achieve the goals you're going after. Now, the R is realistic, and the best advice I can give you here is to start small. If you can break down your larger goals into smaller goals, they become so much easier to accomplish. So again, let's say we're talking about the financial thing where you want to save $2,400 in a year. Realistically, is that possible? Absolutely, because you can break it down to $200 a month. If you want to go further, you can break that down to $50 a week. But if your goal is to save $10,000 for the year, but you only have about $400 every month that you can dedicate towards this, you're not going to meet your goal. Therefore, it is not a realistic goal for you to set. And T is for time bound, and arguably it might be one of the most important aspects of the entire acronym. And the reason I say that is because once you lock down your time frame, you set yourself a clear goal of what to attain at that time. Now, whether you're a person that likes to plan everything out or you're a procrastinator, once you have a deadline set in place, it spurs you to actually accomplish what you're going after. And now that we got the SMART acronym covered, let's go on to this week's freebie. And I want to introduce you all to something called Morning Brew. And no, I'm not talking about your daily coffee. What I'm talking about is a daily email newsletter that covers everything that you would need to know from Wall Street to Silicon Valley. And in fact, if you've never heard about it, I'm a little shocked because as of last year, they hit 1 million subscribers. And the reason I'm suggesting this is because what they do is they break down the information in a very simplistic, easily digestible way that doesn't detract from the actual point of the news articles. The CEO himself came out and said that traditional business news sucks. And to break it down even just a little bit more for you, take a look at this. Morning Brew is a newsletter designed for young business professionals. Each morning email has a stock market recap, a few short briefs on the most important business news of the day, and a small section with lifestyle content. The result is a perfect mix of Wall Street essentials like market analysis and tech news like deep dive on Y Combinator. So the Morning Brew is something that you find interesting, feel free to use my referral link down below so that you can sign up so that you can get these daily email newsletters just like I do. And with that, we're going to move on to tip number 4, and that is to understand that resolutions do not have to be done solo. Chances are your resolution is shared by many people, so go out there and find the support that you need, because whether or not you need the support, they may need it. And whenever people share your common goal, it becomes much easier to stay on track. It's also a great way to build new relationships so that you have other people to fall back on if you start falling behind. Tip number 5 is don't overdo it. You may only have a few resolutions, maybe you have a couple dozen different ones, but you need to stop and ask yourself and be honest with yourself here are these resolutions attainable? Do they fit the mold of these SMART goals? And I'm not saying if you have 30 different resolutions that you should not do them. What I'm saying is that you need to start with a small batch that you know you can accomplish first. And just throw a military acronym. I don't even know if it's a military acronym, but the acronym KISS out here, keep it simple, stupid. Trust me, you want to keep your resolutions as simple as possible. Now, before we go on to tip number 6, I want to share with you an uplifting story that I found inspiring.
Oh no, his camera, he's getting dragged out. No, he's getting...
Hey, he's gonna need to get saved. Shanae, hold this. Shanae, hold this.
You can't save him. Go upstairs, bro. Go upstairs. Go upstairs.
Oh, they're all wrong. Oh my god.
Now be honest with yourself, are you one of those people that would have jumped into that water? And if your answer is like, no way man, I can't even swim. Hey, look at that. Maybe your New Year's resolution is to learn how to swim. All right, moving on to tip number 6. Understand that you may fail and that is okay. Nobody likes to fail at anything, but if you change your mindset to it, you can understand that failing is so much better than 100% succeeding all the time. And I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. If you look at the word fail as an acronym, it's going to be the first attempt in learning. And when you can look at it like that, it becomes so much more easier to digest and understand that you may not accomplish what you set out to do the first time, but maybe you can get it done the second or third or 10th time you've attempted it. Because every single time you fail, you learn something new that's going to help you succeed the next time. So don't be afraid to fail, embrace it. So what are my New Year's resolutions? I have 3 of them. The first is pretty obvious. I need to beat this cancer, and I do not plan on failing in this one. This is one of those things where if you fail the first time, you're done. There is no second, third, fourth chance here. And my second resolution is to create at least 3 valuable videos for you guys every single week. So that way there, if you find yourself needing something from one of the 5 core principles of this channel, which is adulthood, relationships, resiliency, health, or finance, they will always be here on this channel to help you. And I'm going to continue making these videos every single week because I want a huge library of advice to dispense. And now my third resolution may sound contradictory because I just talked about making more videos every single week. But what it is I want to slow down and really enjoy life. Because I really sat back and looked at everything that I am into right now, and you know, it's a big list. I am an active duty military member. I have a real estate license. I am a Maryland licensed home improvement contractor. I have a couple of Etsy stores. I have a couple of eBay stores. I do some Amazon selling. You know, I'm all over the place, and it takes up so much of my time that I'm finding that I'm not enjoying life as much as I really would like to. So if you find yourself kind of bombarded by all this as well, and you're constantly grinding just to make the extra buck, take a step back and realize that time is the most valuable resource that you have. And while money is important, understand that you can always make more money, but you can never get back time. So those are the top 3 things that I want to achieve this year. Tell me about you. Tell me what resolutions you have. Let me know. Go ahead and comment down below so that I can actually open up a dialogue with you and see if there's other videos that I can produce to help you guys out. And finally, to my little one Azalea, if you made any resolutions this year or any of the future years to come, understand that you will be able to accomplish anything you set your mind to. I can guarantee you that if you listen to the advice that we are dispensing here. Remember, you are my daughter, and I refuse to allow you to give up on yourself. And so remember this, you can do anything you put your mind to, and that is an essential step to being an adult.